All right, for this lesson, we are going to be converting within different size standard measurements again. And this one's going to be just a little bit trickier. It's not going to be bad, though. We're going to be converting from a smaller unit to a larger unit, which is going to require just a little bit more work, but we got this. So for the example, we're going to start with 14 days. And we want to know how many weeks that would be. So the first thing we're going to do, the first thing we did, I did it over here for you already, is we're going to rename 14 days as a multiplication expression. So 14 days can be written as 14 times, and a day would be 1 day. 14 times 1 would be 14. So basically, we split apart our unit from our unit measurement, which is days. The next thing we're going to do is rename our conversion factor so that I know that there are 7 days in a week. So if I have 1 day, I have 1/7 of the week. So 1 day would be 1/7 weeks. So I rename that 14 times 1/7. The next thing we would do is we would multiply 14 times 1/7, which would be 14/7 weeks. Technically, that answer would be right, but we are going to take this in proper fraction and we are going to fix that. So step number 4 is to divide. So we'll talk about this in future units, but anytime you see a fraction, that's another way of expressing division. So 14/7 can also be written as 14 divided by 7. We'll talk more about this in a future lesson. So 14 divided by 7 would be 2. So 14 days is 2 weeks. Next up, let me zoom in on this real quick. So we have 4,500 grams, and we want to know how many kilograms that is. So I am going to do 4,500 grams. I'm going to rewrite that as 4,500 copies of 1 gram. And then I'm going to do my little mini conversion. I know that I have 1 gram, and I would need 1,000 grams to make 1 kilogram. So 1 gram is equal to 1,000th kilograms. So I'm going to multiply 4,500 times 1,000, which would be 4,500 thousandths. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide. So everything, when I'm doing 4,500 divided by 1,000, everything's going to shift over 3 spots on the place value chart. So it would be 4 and 500 thousandths, or I could write that as 4 and 5/10 kilograms. Both would be correct. So 4,500 grams is 4 and 5/10 kilograms. Next, we're going to do another metric conversion problem. We're going to start with 195 centimeters, and we want to know how many meters that would be. So 195 centimeters could be split up into 195 copies of 1 centimeter. 195 times 1, of course, is 195. And then we're going to do our mini conversions. So I have 1 centimeter out of the 100 that I would need to make a whole meter. So 1 centimeter is 1/100th of a meter. So when I multiply 195 times 100th, I would get 195 hundredths. So to change that to a number that's not an improper fraction, I would do 195 divided by 100. And I know that everything is going to shift over 2 spots on my place value chart. So 195 divided by 100 would be 1 and 95 hundredths. So 195 centimeters is equal to 1 and 95 hundredths meters. For this problem, we are going to be converting 16 cups to pints. Once again, I did 16 cups, which would equal 16 copies of 1 cup. And the next thing I would do is my little mini conversion. So it takes 2 cups to equal 1 pint. So if I have 1 cup, that would be 1 out of the 2 cups that I would need to make 1 pint. Next, I would do 16 times 1/2, which would be 16 halves pints. And so I don't want to leave it like this. I want to figure out exactly how many pints it would be. So I'm going to divide 16 divided by 2 because I have 16 halves pints. So 2 goes into 16 8 times. It should be 16. So 16 cups is equal to 8 pints. For our last problem, we are going to be converting from feet to yards, and we're going to start with 12 feet, and we want to know how many yards that would be. So if I have 12 feet, I could also write that as 12 copies of 1 foot. So here is where we're going to do our little mini conversion. So I want to figure out, so 1 foot would be how many yards? So if you think about it, if I have 1 yard, that 1 yard would be 3 feet. So 1 foot would be a third of a yard. I would need 3 feet to make 1 whole yard. So the next thing I would do is multiply. 12 times 1/3 yards would be 12 third yards. And finally, we're going to divide. So once again, 12 thirds written as a fraction is a way of expressing 12 divided by 3, which would be 4. So 12 feet would be equivalent to 4 yards. It's not funny.
He did something. How do you like getting jerked? Oh yeah, you like being called a jerk and punched in the face? I hope you didn't like it, Owen.
No, don't talk to him like that. No.